Well. Welcome to Speaking of Zane, everybody. May 25th, 2025. It is the 318th edition of Speaking of Zane. We skipped last week because of Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And lost my mother 2 years ago in May. I miss her. She was an awesome Marine Corps wife and a great mother, great grandmother. But hope you all had a fantastic Mother's Day weekend last weekend. Speaking of mothers, my daughter, Hannah, who's an Army veteran, is a mother again. She has an 8-year-old son called Everett, who you've seen on here periodically, but she has a brand new daughter whose name is Nyla. Nyla Lorraine is her name, and she was born on Friday, I believe it was. Lori was there, as was her husband, Colleen. And I've seen pictures of Nyla, and she's absolutely adorable. And can't wait to get over there and actually meet her. She's a little bit on the small side, 5'13", 5'14", something like that. So they're going to keep her in the hospital for a little bit, it sounds like. But she is adorable, and Lori has had the opportunity to see her face to face. She's absolutely gorgeous. And so congratulations to Hannah and Colleen on baby Nyla. Interesting story. Her name is Nyla Lorraine, and Lorraine is to honor Lori. Lori's middle name is Lorraine. Her proper name is Colette Lorraine. So Hannah decided to surprise her sometime back and name baby Nyla Lorraine. So how about that? That's outstanding. So I can't wait to get over there and see her. She makes, what is it, Lori? Nyla makes our 13th grandchild. We have Colton, Paisley, Zaley, Colby, Everett, Carson, and now Nyla. What does that make? 7 biological, and we've inherited some. So I think it's 7 biological and 6 that we've inherited who we adore. So that makes 13. How about that? 13 that call us Grammy and Granddaddy. That is a blessing. Okay, well, how about, let's see, and Lori's over there. I don't know if Lori's at the hospital right now or if she's at their house, but they live in Duluth, Georgia, which is it's a good hour drive from here. And Lori has been there the better part of the month, getting Everett back and forth to school, getting Hannah to doctor's appointments. I've been in and out for work, but Lori will be there for a little bit longer until Lori or Hannah can get back in the routine. But good stuff. I'm so happy for Hannah. Now she has a little boy and a little girl, so that's fantastic. Okay, well, let's see. My other daughter, since we were last together, my other daughter, Charlotte, has been to Korea, and she came home for a few days, and now she's in Berlin. So she is all over the place. But she and I, the first couple of weeks of July, are doing our daddy-daughter trip. We do one each year. And we are going to Scandinavia. We are going to Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland in about 10 or 11 days. And Charlotte's got everything planned out. And I think she's going to be in Rome for work. So I think I'm going to fly to Rome because it's easier to get standby to Rome instead of Stockholm. So I'm going to, I think, fly to Rome, meet her there, and then we'll fly to, I don't know if we're going to Stockholm first or somewhere. Anyway, it ought to be a fun trip. I'm excited. I always love traveling with her. We get in a groove together. We plan, but we pivot, and she's a good travel buddy. And then I'll come back from spending a couple weeks with her just for a few days to repack and go back to London for a couple of weeks, the second 2 weeks of July. So I'm going to be busy around here. Let's see who we've got in the chat here. Amy is in there. I love Amy. Got to see Amy at the reunion about a month ago now, and always enjoy Amy. Daryl's in there. I got to visit Daryl's wife, Wanda, at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery this past week. Jimbo Miller's in there. Lori's in there. Brenda Lusk is in there. We're looking forward to meeting Brenda Lusk in 2026 when we're in Michigan. And Randy Bergmeyer's in there. I got to see Randy at the reunion as well. So good to have you in there, Randy. Tell Kathy we said hello. And now David Surface is in there, a buddy of mine. So that's a good one, David. Okay, well, let's see what else is going on. Right. So we had Mother's Day. We've got Memorial Day tomorrow. More about that in a minute because I want to do a tribute. We've got a new granddaughter. My other daughter is on the move. I had a great week in St. Louis this last week with some Memorial Day related activities. I was there for work, had a bunch of work things to do, but I was able to squeeze in a couple of military related activities. I was asked to be a panelist on a panel, of course, with a couple of my colleagues from the company I work for at another St. Louis-based company called Edward Jones. Probably heard of Edward Jones Financial Planning. Well, they're based in St. Louis, and we have a great relationship with them. And so I was on a panel there at the Edward Jones headquarters talking about our employee resource groups, and specifically I was talking about our veterans resource group. So that was kind of fun. And then on Wednesday at our headquarters building, we placed, once again for the third year in a row, about 700 American flags in this grassy area right next to our headquarters, with a battlefield cross and a sign talking about Memorial Day. And then on the inside of the building, we placed a missing man table. You've probably seen that. If you've never seen that, just Google it. But we placed at our headquarters building, placed the flags and the missing man table, and then about 45-minute drive away over in Illinois, I had a team of veterans placing similar flags and missing man tables at 4 other facilities there. So that's very nice that I could delegate and had a group of veterans out there that could place those. And I had a team in our New York City office in Manhattan place a missing man table there. First time we've done it there, and got a lot of conversation going there about Memorial Day. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't really know the meaning of Memorial Day. Even older people. I mean, there's a lot of newer people in the workforce, and they just don't know what Memorial Day is all about. So that's part of what we try to do at my company anyway, is raise awareness and talk about it. And we have a lot of military veterans at the company I work for, so it makes a lot of sense for us to do that. So I did that, did some work things, and then I was there for my team is responsible for sales onboarding. So whenever we get new people in the company on our sales org, they come to our headquarters and spend a week, and my team runs them through a couple of days of onboarding, and so I was there for that, and I actually got to of about 30 of them, 4 of them were military veterans. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's see, Todd's in there. Hey, Todd. Yes, you're so right about the missing man table. It really sparked, and the symbolism. That's what I love about the missing man table is, and some call it a POW MIA table, missing man table, but every element on the table has symbolism. It's fascinating if you go read that, what each item means. There's my buddy Pete Wensler in there. Pete, geez, I go all the way back to 1982 with Pete. Pete picked me up at Epley Airfield when I got to Offutt Air Force Base as my first duty station. And I'll always remember that. And brought me to the base, took me to CBPO, dumped me off at the barracks. But and I've run into Pete a few times over the years. He passes through Atlanta. He's a big Delta patron, so he passes through Atlanta quite regularly, and we've seen each other there a couple of times. Actually, I've seen him once in Florida. I've seen his parents in Florida. I forget where I was flying. I was flying from Florida to New Jersey or somewhere. I don't remember what, but anyway, I got to meet Pete's parents. That was a treat. All right. Well, let's see. What else? Yeah. So anyway, so I was there in St. Louis for the most part of the week, and you guys know I go to St. Louis a lot. It's just an hour and 10-minute flight. Easy for me to go. My boss lets me do what I want, so I go there a lot. And I wasn't supposed to come home until Friday evening, which is pretty normal for me. But what was it, Lori? On Wednesday or Thursday, I get a text from my neighbor, Mike, who's an Army veteran, by the way. Mike texts me and says, "Hey, guy, I don't know if you planned this or not, but your sprinkler system has been on like all day." And I'm like, "What?" And I've got cameras. I can see all the house. I've got cameras I can see, and I had not checked the cameras in a few hours, I guess. But I got a text from Mike and said, "Hey, your sprinkler system's been on all day." And I thought about it for a minute, and because we moved into this house 6 years ago. I knew it had a sprinkler system. I have never used. We get so much rain here, there's no reason to even use it, but I've never used the sprinkler system. Never, ever even turned it on. And I told Mike, I said, Mike, I have never used a sprinkler system. I don't know why it would be on. The control box was unplugged. There's no timer set for anything. Anyway, so I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what now? And so I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I'm in St. Louis. My sprinklers are running full blast all day. So told Lori, I messaged Lori, and she says, yeah, I was wondering about that because I went to the house. She was over on this side of town from, I think she went to Everett's graduate, or I can't remember. Oh, Carson's graduation from preschool anyway. So she was on this side of town. So she came to the house to pick up some things, and she saw the sprinklers going. And then once I asked her, she says, yeah, I was wondering about that. Anyway, well, she ran back to the house, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to get somebody that can either find that control and see if something's wrong, or turn the water off until I can get home. So Lori came home, and I knew where the water shutoff is. And I told Lori where it was at, and she's down there digging in there's some shrubbery that hides that stuff. And she's down in there. I'm watching her on the camera. She didn't know I was watching her on the camera, but she's down in there she's getting dirty. This girl is getting down in the weeds, trying to find she finds the box where the water comes from the street, and she takes the cover off. She's down there digging in the dirt and everything. And then I'm texting with my neighbor Mike, and Mike comes over. Mike had to bring a shovel because those things, over time, if you don't keep them cleaned out, the dirt builds up in there. So he got it dug out enough to find the shut off, and he was able to shut it off. And thank goodness, at least they could shut it off, and then I could deal with it when I got home. Well, that's why I came. So on Friday, instead of staying all day Friday, I took the 6 a.m. flight Friday so I could get home and troubleshoot it. Going into a long weekend, I'm thinking, if I've got to get home and I can't figure it out, I'm going to have to call a plumber or somebody. Anyway, so I got home. I got on the 6 o'clock flight. So I was home. I was at the house here by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I actually found, if you guys know about sprinkler systems, I know this, what does this have to do with speaking to Zane? But it does. There's a solenoid that opens and closes to let the water flow. And so I got to thinking about, I did a little YouTube searching and everything. I don't know anything about sprinkler systems, but I got quickly educated on it. And I remember seeing this cover in the yard in a hole down in there. So anyway, I dug this out, and I found this solenoid. And the solenoid is what opens and closes. Anyway, I undid the solenoid, made sure the diaphragm was working, this, that, and the other, put it back in, prayed, went and turned the water on, and the sprinkler system didn't come on. So I'm like, a lot of like on the airplane and the Air Force, I don't know what I did to fix it, but I'm not going to touch it. So I'll take that as a win and just see what happens. But anyway, so I got home and I spent, that morning messing around with that. But in the meantime, I had a 15-yard dumpster delivered to the driveway so I could start cleaning out the garage, because I couldn't get to the irrigation control unit because the garage was so full of stuff. So this whole episode prompted me to clean out the garage, which I've been meaning to do for a long time. And I've spent the last 2 days doing that, 3 days. So I've got a 15-yard dumpster out in the driveway that's full. And now I've got ready access and a clear garage and everything. So Long story, but yeah, Todd, I think messing around with it certainly probably jostled the diaphragm and everything. But that's how solenoids and relays work. But yeah, so and now at least I know I can access the solenoid to replace it if I need to. But there we go. Okay, well, let's see. David says he met with an old Ranger buddy in Franklin. I love Franklin. Lori and I was up there. Um, very good. Yeah, good. I'm going to put you down. Put you down on the Think of That challenge. I've got a few of those myself. Okay, well, let's see. There's my dad, Mac Marine, down in South Georgia. Yep, another grandbaby, Dad. A little girl called Nyla, and she's adorable. She is adorable. Okay, well, let's see what else we got going on here. I didn't think this was going to take very long tonight, but I keep rambling about stuff. But I got back and got all that done, got that dumpster loaded, and still managed to do all the laundry, still managed to mow the yard, still managed to smoke a pork butt, and make some homemade jalapeno slaw. So I've been busy here, and I watched the Indy 500 and the Braves game. Braves lost today, and watched a hockey game last night. Florida and Carolina. I think they're playing again tonight. But all of that work, I've been able to manage to do a little bit of that as well. Okay, well, let's see. Unfortunately, the Braves lost today. They're back below 500. I think they're about 25 and 27, something like that. I actually went to the Braves game. Okay, Lori, see you later. I went to the Braves game. There was a home game, day game, not last week, but the week before. And Lori got me tickets from VetTix. Has anybody ever used VetTix? I've done it for a couple of concerts, and Lori got Braves tickets through VetTix, so that was pretty sweet. First game of the year for me. All right, so I'm home now until Friday. Friday, I'm going to be flying from here to Oklahoma City and driving down to Lawton and doing a workshop, and then flying back on Saturday. And then Sunday, I turn right back around and fly to St. Louis for a week. I've got a cohort of associates. They're graduating the first week of June after a full year in the academy that I run. So I'll be there all week, first week of June, come home for the weekend, then go to San Diego for a week. Actually, I'm going to be, Dad, I'm going to be out on the USS Midway again there in San Diego. And then I come home that third week of June, I'll be home, and then the next week to Vegas. So busy June and July around here. Let's see. Lori has to bounce. Okay, cool. Oh, she must be at the hospital. Okay, very good. All right, Todd. See you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate when you stop in. All right. Well, let's see. Hat of the week always has something to do with what's going on around here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. And I hadn't worn this hat in quite some time, but I thought for Memorial Day, a lot of folks, we think of World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, the Gulf, War on Terror, Iraq, Afghanistan. You guys hear the alarm? We're getting thunderstorm warnings. I don't know if you guys hear my weather radio. We've got thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. But there's my brother Brad. Brad, remind me of something here in a minute. Anyway, I was talking about the hat of the week. So a lot of folks didn't realize that we actually lost men and women during the Cold War. a lot, in fact, because the Cold War spanned decades. But so for that reason, and all of those that we've lost in service to the country during the Cold War, I thought I'd wear my Cold War veteran hat as the hat of the war. Okay, well, let's see. There's my brother Brad in there. There's Jonathan Peters. Jonathan is one of Zane's battle buddies. Hey, pal, how you doing? Oh, good, good. Did you get to see Johnny in person there, Jonathan? I'd love to know about that. We're hoping to get a bunch of you all together next summer, July 2026, up in Michigan. There's a Running to Honor 5K race, and they're going to honor Zane on the 10th anniversary of his passing. So Lori's going to be getting the word out on that, and we're hoping to get a bunch of you guys convened there in Michigan. But always good to have you. Oh, you guys golfed. Well, that's great. Yeah, I love Johnny E-Ball. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Dad. I go to San Diego. I've been to San Diego quite a bit over the last 20 years or so, and have had the opportunity to visit the USS Midway. It's probably my favorite museum. It's a museum ship, but one of my favorite experiences was taking my dad to the USS Midway for, what was it, your 70th birthday, Dad? And got to tour the Midway. Dad served on the Midway with VMAQ-2, the Prowler Squadron. So that was a treat to be able to do that. David says he went to 2 Devil Ray games last month. Oh man, Red Hot Chili Peppers. You thought it was the Chili Peppers. Yeah, that was our son Zane's favorite band was Chili Peppers. Yeah, I love Disney Springs too, David. All right, well, let's see. Ooh, that'd be a good idea, Jonathan. I know we're going to do the 5K run in his honor, but having a golf tourney would be awesome. My brother Brad is in there. So Brad, listen, I think you and I were in the Atlanta airport in the same terminal at the same time on Friday morning, because I got to Atlanta about 8:15 local. Got my bags, got to the parking shuttle. I was in the parking shuttle on the way to where I parked my truck when I saw your post that you were in the Atlanta airport. And I'm like, why didn't I see that 5 minutes sooner? So I don't know if we overlapped there or not. I think you were in Terminal C. I landed in Terminal C. But I guess it's bound to happen. You and I did meet there one time a few years ago, but I know you're in and out of there quite a bit. Maybe not as much as I am, but close anyway. But would have been good to see you. All right, let's see. This week in military history, of course, we had Armed Forces Day last weekend. I think it was the day before Mother's Day, and that's the day that the nation honors those that are currently serving. And then, of course, Memorial Day tomorrow. And I was going to read something here real quick, if I can find it, about Memorial Day. And then, well, I'll read that. I'll read that in a minute and wrap up with that. But let's go to our Veteran Cemetery Challenge. I'll tell you what I think I know. Since we last were together, which has been a few weeks, I know Daryl has made a couple of visits to Jefferson Barracks. I've got my dad down for some visits, my sister down for some visits. I made a visit this past week to Jefferson Barracks when I was in St. Louis and paid my respects to Daryl's wife, Wanda, and one of my friends, Amanda. Her parents are buried there. And then one of my friends at work, her dad's buried there, Juanita. So I made a visit there. And I know since we were last together, Amy Walton has made a couple of visits to Omaha National Cemetery. I know she was there yesterday for the placing of the flags for Memorial Day. So got you listed there, Amy. So if I add up what I know about, I think we had 13 total visits over the last couple of weeks, and that takes our visits up to 1,503. 1,503 times members of this group have visited a veteran cemetery. 210 different ones across the country and indeed across the world. And I'll be visiting Georgia National Cemetery tomorrow on Memorial Day. All right, let's see. Let's move on to the veteran challenge. So let me tell you what I think I know. I remember I was in St. Louis this week, and I met let me get my list down. I forgot a couple here. There we go. So I met 1, 5, 6 Air Force, 1, 5, 5 Army, and 2 Navy. No, 3 Navy. 3 Navy. At the Edward Jones event, and then at my headquarters, I met 4 new people to our company who are military veterans. 2 Air Force, 1 Navy, and 1 Army. And the Army guy, you'll like this, David Surface. The Army guy has just retired from the Army like a month ago after 30 years of service, and he retired as a Chief Warrant Officer 5. Chief Warrant Officer 5, very rare to make it to Chief Warrant Officer 5, and you usually have to do 30 years to get there. But the guy was really cool. Now he's a technical advisor for us. He was the Chief Technology Officer, the CTO of the Army. So got a chance to spend some time with him. Great guy, and look forward to how he's going to help our company continue to interact with the Army and the other branches of the military. I think we've hit all the ones in Florida, David, at one time or another, but we don't let that stop us for sure. So if I add up, and then my dad had an Air Force at Moody Air Force Base, and a Marine, and then David, I saw your interaction there with the Army. So if I add yours and then the 2 I forgot about, that takes us to 17 for the week. And a total of, since we started tracking this some number of years ago, 3,582 veteran interactions. What do you want to call them? A thank you or whatever. Veteran interactions that we track and share with each other. So that was kind of cool. So good job there. I appreciate you guys doing that alongside us. And I guess the last thing I wanted to share was specifically about Memorial Day tomorrow. I tell folks at work that don't really know that much about the military and stuff. I said, hey, listen. I said, hey, go do your barbecue, go do your beer, go do the pool, go do the beach, go watch baseball. All of that stuff is appropriate. Just realize that the real reason for the holiday is to honor those who pay the ultimate price. And, pause at least for a minute and acknowledge that. And, freedom has a high price. And there are men and women who were willing to pay that price. And that's the reason we have this free nation that we have. Well, let me share, I want to share a little bit about the history of Memorial Day, or the origins of Memorial Day. And I found this online. It's from the Department of Veterans Affairs, so I assume the validity of all the data here. But it says 3 years after the Civil War ended, it was on May the 5th of 1868, the head of the Grand Army of the Republic, which was the organization for Union veterans, they established Decoration Day as a time for the nation to decorate the graves of the war dead with flowers. And it was Major General John Logan who declared that it should be on May the 30th. And they think he chose May 30th because flowers would be in bloom all over the country, and they adorned the graves with flowers. So the first observance was held at Arlington National Cemetery, and that's across the Potomac River from D.C. And ceremonies centered around mourning the draped veranda of the Arlington Mansion. It was once the home of General Robert E. Lee. And various Washington officials, including General and Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant, actually presided over the ceremonies. Then after a bunch of speeches and children from the Soldiers and Sailors Orphan Home and members of the GAR made their way through the ceremony, they were strewing flowers on both Union and Confederate graves and reciting prayers and singing hymns. And then it began to spread around the country, and then local springtime tributes to Civil War dead began to be held in various places. One of the first occurred in Columbus, Mississippi, they say, on April 25th in 1866, when a group of women visited a cemetery to decorate the graves of the Confederate soldiers that had fallen at the Battle of Shiloh. Nearby were the graves of Union soldiers that had been neglected because they were the enemy, and they were disturbed at the sight of the bare graves. So the women placed some of the flowers on those graves as well. And then today, the cities in the North and the South claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day. Macon, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, they claim the title. Richmond, Virginia, Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, claimed it a couple years earlier. There's a stone in Carbondale, Illinois, cemetery that carries the statement that they had the first Decoration Day. Carbondale was the wartime home of General Logan. So approximately 25 places had been named in connection with the origin of Memorial Day, and many of them were in the South, actually. But in 1966, Congress and President Lyndon Johnson declared that Waterloo, New York, was the birthplace of Memorial Day. So there was a ceremony there on May the 5th of 1866 that honored local veterans who had fought in the Civil War. Businesses closed, residents flew flags at half-staff. Supporters claimed that earlier observances in other places were either informal or not community-wide or just one-time events. So by the end of the 19th century, Memorial Day ceremonies were being held on May the 30th all throughout the nation. So, kind of crazy, the history of that, and kind of cool to read up on Memorial Day. But so as you all head into Memorial Day tomorrow, certainly do those things that we all do, barbecue and everything, but remember those that pay the ultimate price. Now, for me, there are some in particular that I'll be honoring or remembering that I served with that were lost in the line of duty. And I know you all have some, and maybe you can list those in the chat. Anybody that you served with or are related to or know that died in service to the country. For me, there was a fellow squadron mate, John Campisi. John Campisi was in the 513th Avionics Maintenance Squadron at Offutt Air Force Base, and he was killed in Desert Shield. And then Mike Heiser who I flew with, served with at Mildenhall and at Lodges. Many of you remember Mike. Mike was killed in the Khobar Towers bombing, terrorist bombing, I believe it was 1996. And then some of us served with Lieutenant Colonel Michael Anderson in the second ACTS. He was a pilot on the Looking Glass. And Colonel Anderson was killed aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia on that reentry. And then two men from Zane's unit, who I always remember on Memorial Day, Staff Sergeant Stephen Butcher and Specialist Daniel Cagle, who were killed in Iraq. So that's who I'll be thinking of tomorrow, and all of the others, but those are names that people that I know or know of that I'll be honoring on Memorial Day. I plan to go to our local Memorial Day ceremony here in Ackworth, Georgia. Then I'll be making my way to Georgia National Cemetery. All right, team. Well, great to see you all in here tonight. Have a wonderful day tomorrow, a nice reflective day, and then a good week to come. And then I don't know what Speaking of Zane holds for next Sunday, because I'll just be arriving in St. Louis sometime in the evening on Sunday. So we may end up skipping a week, but I will let you guys know on the Speaking of Zane Facebook page what my intentions are. And I'll look forward to circling back with you all. But in honor of Memorial Day, I also want to take a minute to honor all of those with the playing of taps. So if you'll join me with the observance, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks.